It's hard to believe we're already on our second February meeting, and that March is literally just around the corner. Welcome. We're glad you all are here. We had a great work session, talked about our audit for the 21-22 year. That's how things work out for us. And it gives us good food for thought as we're moving forward looking at the city's finances. I know we've got some important activity going on at 8 o'clock tonight. How about those Bobcats? That's a good thing. We're all rooting for the black and gold, so we'll try to move through the meeting this evening so that anyone interested in getting there can make their way. But we'd like to begin our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. So we'll ask our Vice Commander of the American Legion to come forward to lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. And at this time, we ask that you join us in a moment of silence that you can use to prepare for the meeting, for silent reflection, or for silent prayer. Thank you very much. At this time, we will open the floor for citizen comments on public matters. We ask that you come forward. Please use our podium. State your name for the record, and be sure to use the microphone. You do have 3 minutes or less for your comments.
Good evening. My name is John Ashley. I'm here to talk about family court reform. And since the Radford City Police are apologizing for the police in Memphis killing Tyree Nichols, I figured Radford Police could apologize for things they have done, not for what happened 600 miles away. I was born on Lakenheath Air Force Base. It's in England. My dad worked for the Department of Defense. I didn't move to America until I was 17. A few years later, I got a girl pregnant. And when she decided that she didn't want to be a mom, she came here to a place she had never been, and in exchange for goods and services, gave our child to people she had never met before. Ask RPD. Even though there are laws saying it's illegal to sell children, they refused to investigate. Me and my dad started coming here for court-order visitation, but RPD refused to allow it. I have asked for a copy of their policy regarding this. They refused to show me and told me to sue them. So I do, and now the court is refusing to allow me to do that either. Per 17.1-208, anyone can go down to the courthouse and get a copy of what multiple other law enforcement agencies call a multiple felony case. You can have a copy of it. You already have a copy of it. And then a sergeant says what the RPD policy is involving court-ordered visitation. A month later, RPD does the opposite and takes my child from us in violation of a court order, without DSS involvement and without arresting us, the standard legal justification. And that's the policy I wanted to see. I got a letter from RPD citing a law that they cannot produce records that don't exist. Okay, I don't understand this response, and I need clarification. Are you saying that there is no policy to justify the abduction of my child, or that RPD has never had a policy that defines the legal exemptions to the abduction laws? If you can't justify it, I am ready for my apology. If you are saying that you don't have any policy regarding this, what are the police and the paperwork citing? Are you saying there is no policy to stop cops from going to the school and taking random children? This is especially alarming because former RPD Captain Chris Caldwell is charged with online enticement of a child 14 or younger, just like how multiple chiefs of police have covered up the abduction of my child. People don't become pedophiles at 50. How many crimes were committed by Captain Caldwell that were also covered up? Did he investigate the complaints I filed? Maybe RPD Lieutenant convicted of stealing $2,500 from the evidence locker did. I want to thank you for treating me so badly that your mental health agency says that me repeating your policy means I'm crazy. Last summer, I tried to commit suicide by cop. Thank you. Have a good night. I like my apology.
Does anybody else have a matter for the public record that they would like to comment on? At this time, we will have any council response, if there is any. We'll move on to our old business. We are looking at Ordinance 1780 this evening. We've been considering this for several months, looking at constructing 30 townhomes adjacent to Lovely Mount Drive. It's currently zoned R3, which is single-family residential, requires rezoning to R4. A joint public hearing was held in November between the City Council and the Planning Commission. Planning Commission met again on December the 19th. They approved the rezoning request and sent that forward to Council. We have since, as Council, had City staff taking a look at the project. We held a second public hearing at its meeting, our meeting on February 13th, where we also had the first vote for Ordinance 1780. At this time, Council, are there any questions regarding Ordinance 1780? Do we have a motion to approve Ordinance 1780?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second for the second reading of Ordinance 1780. Any further discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. 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 Any opposed? All right. Thank you all very much. Okay, we do have some amendments that we need to do on our next two sections of business. First of all, we're taking a look at several ordinances that were public right-of-ways that we were vacating for some development with some adjacent property owners. Those ordinances were taken care of on our part last fall, but the requirement had that the final site plans must be prepared within 60 days, or final plats must be prepared. The developer has not been able to make that deadline and has requested a 12-month extension, and so we are looking at doing that with Ordinance 1782, 1783, 1784, and 1785 that's before you, Council. Everything else remains the same with the vacated areas and the locations. No additional public hearings, revisitation of rights-of-way, or anything related to the vacation process is required. Do you all have any questions? David, do you have anything else you want to add?
I know three of you, this is new for you. If you've got any questions about those locations, I can briefly tell you. Most of these, the first three are for some development. They relate to from basically the Rock Road intersection up to the entrance side of Tyler Avenue. Then it jumps over. It's another section about where the hillside still is, from the upper end of Food City to almost where the intersection of Auburn Avenue is, and then there's other two is Berkeley down here next to Old Morgan, just to get a little bit more right away next to, and then the other one is on Arlington, right in front of the new building. Way they're going to be maintained.
Sounds good. Do we have a motion to approve Ordinance 1782, 1783, 1784, and 1785 on their first reading? We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. 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 Any opposed? Having heard four affirmative votes, we can dispense with a second reading if so desired. Is there a motion to do so?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Now we have another ordinance that we are amending from 1786 to 1781. And what we're doing is taking a look at this, this piece where K&J Properties is asking us to vacate some property, and there was a revaluation of that property. So David, can we talk about why it went from 7,064 to 6,165?
Yes, that was just make sure we had taken into account an easement we need to retain the value of the property, since it is.
Okay. Now, we have had a Board of Viewers review this. There has been, the report from the board is there would be no inconvenience to the public or any issue with utilities. This has been reviewed and approved before. So, council members, do we have a recommendation to approve Ordinance 1786?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any comment or question? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Having heard four affirmative votes, we can dispense with a second reading if so desired. Is there a motion to do so?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Now, we do have an opening on the Board of Zoning Appeals, and I believe Jennifer Bondurant has been contacted and expressed interest for that. I think she would do an outstanding job on this board. Do we have a motion to nominate her or anyone else for the opening on the Board of Zoning Appeals?
Make a nomination to recommend Jennifer Bondurant.
We have a motion for Jennifer Bondurant. Any further nominations? Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Moving on to new business, we have our members of our board, our president and the executive director of the Chamber of Commerce here to present us with their annual report and for us to talk a little bit about what's going on in Radford. So Dan, the floor is yours.
Thank you all very much. Very happy to be here a year later. So I want to thank Mayor, council members, David, and I get the controls there. It's cool. So I'll make this fairly quick. I did have a little bit of a flow, if you will. So I want to start with some of you, or most of you, or hopefully all of you have seen this video before, but I want to replay the Welcome to Radford video. Jenny's got it queued up.
Yep, muted. Womp womp. Welcome to Radford, where you'll hear the sound of the train whistle breaking through the city streets and the sound of a fishing lure hit the waters of the New River. You'll hear chants of "Let's go Bobcats" and "Let's go Highlanders," and the sound of the creek flowing through Wildwood Park. You'll see local business owners hard at work, ambitious enough to start something new to make an impact in the community. You'll see the history that defines our past and the artwork that defines our future. You'll smell mouth-watering food from restaurants only found in Radford all the way to burgers sizzling on the grills at Bissett Park. But what you'll ultimately experience is what truly makes our city special and sets us apart: our people, our healthcare workers, barbers, firefighters, and everyone in between. The small-town feeling that makes families want to grow here and people want to live here. So when you come to Radford, take in the sights and sounds, but stay for the people. Hear their stories and why they choose to live, work, and play here. Then you'll see what makes our community great. Welcome to Radford. Welcome to our community.
So if you haven't figured out, the narrator of that video is our very own mayor up there. So I wanted to give special thanks and recognition to you for being such a available and ongoing mentor for Ben Johnston, who was my intern from Radford University, who put this video together. So just real quickly, I'll recap the video. So I tasked Ben with making this video, and in the initial stages of learning about Radford, because he didn't really know, I put him in front of stakeholders. The one thing that, and I thought I knew this, but hearing it from people, was that what makes our community so great is our people. I mean, it was resounding over and over and over again. So I'm blessed to be working for such a great community and working for these people and trying to make these business owners successful. And so that's truly what I have a passion for doing. So Jenny's got the annual report up, so we'll just roll through this. If you can save any questions for at the end, and we'll handle all those at one time. So what do I do, Jenny?
Just click the arrows.
So I wanted to say a personal mention of gratitude to my board. They're a true working board, so and I have several of them here today as well. So in the audience, I have Dee Dee Kennedy from New River Community College, Courtney Nichols from Travel Bash, Abram Williams from First Street Properties, Michelle Beal with Ballpark Signs, and I can't forget my wife, although she's not on the board. But so thank you all very much, and the ones that aren't here, certainly thank them as well. So the messages that from both Abram, who was our president, and from me, if you've read these, hopefully, Abram took a very high-level approach to his message, very supportive, and always to continue to support our members and businesses as a whole. I took a little bit more of a micro level. So my message this year is going to be, what does that experience look like? And I talk about in my little blurb that we have both internal and external customers. So internal customers are our staff, our employees. They need to be acknowledged and thanked just like our customers that walk in through the door. And then that leads into brand loyalty, brand ambassadors, and we can have this conversation all night long, so I'm going to stop right there. So goals that we had for 2022, we got a lot of people back that we lost from COVID. We actually got some new memberships as well. They'll be on a following screen. I took it upon myself to really work hard on getting our Facebook and our website at least somewhat up to par. We're still working on the website. But Facebook, I have stats in a later screen as well. So we just saw the Welcome to Radford video. So that video was created for anybody and everybody who wants to use it. So it could be for a company that's trying to recruit employees to locate here and come work. They can send that video, a link to them. It could be for the parents of Radford University students to kind of get a vibe for what Radford actually is. So it's out there. It's on the radfordchamber.com, our website, and it's also on our YouTube channel. And that rolls me right into YouTube channel. So any videos that I take, I put on the Radford Chamber YouTube channel. So the Christmas parade last year is on there. The previous year is on there, although it's broken up. I've gotten a lot better at making videos, by the way. So it's just a good place to refer people that want to learn more about what Radford is. So there's Radford Coffee Company on there, Radford Drug. Courtney with Travel Bash, her company. Vittles for Vets. Bill is on there talking about his nonprofit for veterans. Just all cool stuff. New chamber members. I'm not going to go through all of them. Quite a few of them here in the city of Radford, but quite honestly, what warms my heart a little bit is that people want to be involved in the city of Radford that aren't located in the city of Radford. For example, JBR Vineyards. Blacksburg Boxing and Fitness. Kind of cool that they're looking at our market and going, I need to be here. So for annual membership, we actually grew by 15 members. Our total chamber members was 194. That's a year-over-year increase of 17%. Hoping to crack that 200 number this year. And I don't want to read all this. Hopefully you guys have seen and looked at it. Just some chamber involvement, the golf tournament we did. I talk about the new flagpole dedication at Central Square by First Street Properties. Talk about Club Fair and Highlander Festival. Got some pictures and some ribbon cuttings there. I know you guys want to get to the basketball game. Our golf tournament is our title sponsor every year is Scott Armentrout from Radford Drug. Super happy that he's continued to support us. Other big sponsors for this event were 11 West, First Community Bank, roll into Ameripaz, Keith Welton's, Davis & Davis, BT's, Serve Pro, Plot and French, Ballpark, Signs, Atmos. We're just truly happy. It's such a fun day. So if you have it's on Monday the 22nd this year. If you have a chance to come out, either to play or to volunteer, it's fun to be out there in the course. Just next slide is some stuff about the pictures from the Halloween treat trail. It's just absolutely, hate to use the word insane, but it's crazy how many kids come out to East Main Street and all the wonderful businesses who participate in that. So social media, I kind of referred to this earlier. So I'm going to go through real quick of the Facebook stats. So I did a calculation for, and these are not unique people reached. However, in December, I had 62,000 people.
Great.
My page visits were for the year 5242. Page likes was 2,410, and page fans was 2,877. I'll be quite honest, I'm still learning what Facebook is and all the algorithms and how they change like every 6 months. But I had a huge success on my Facebook page. So if anybody joins the chamber and they have an active Facebook page, it's worth their membership alone just from the exposure that I can give them. Constant contact, we sent out 107 emails last year. We have an average open rate of 35%, which is actually high as far as a metric compared to everybody else. So super happy about that, which equated out to be about 42,000 open emails that got seen. So other fun facts, demographic results, I've found it interesting that geographic reach was 37% was for people in Radford, 63% outside of Radford. I'll tell you why that's important to me here in a second, but the demographic insight was also very curious. 72.5% of all was women. So just you women out there on your phones more than guys are, so that's all I'm saying.
Careful.
Yep, yeah, I know. So the geographic reach is important to me because when I heard the study from the East Maine, that was right at 2 years ago, that there was a lot of households within a half an hour drive of Radford that had a high disposable income. I said, those are the people that I want to be here in Radford. I need to make the pie, if we keep the pie here the same in the city of Radford, we can slice it up, it can be changed a little bit. We just need to make the pie bigger. Just some more pictures, some ones of note here was Patrick Moore, the Virginia Living magazine, does the best of Virginia every year. And Joe from Sal's, they won first place in their respective categories. Just super, super exciting. Patrick didn't even know that he had been nominated. Our annual holiday display contest. First place was Coconuts on Main Street. If you saw their display, it was phenomenal, just like her cakes and cupcakes. The first place winner was 501 8th Street. That was with all the bluish lights and just super cool. 7th Street was just amazing too, and quite honestly, everybody did such a great job. Super happy that people actually get into decorating and wanting to show off their business. Ribbon cuttings, I'm not going to. So goals going forward. We kind of talk about this a little bit in the MOU as well. We want to continue doing a strong social media presence. I think that's the way of the future, and certainly want to build out our YouTube channel for more relevant videos. We're currently working on Squarespace. If you've ever used it as a website platform, it's not the easiest thing to use. So I'm having to learn, and we've got somebody else helping us out with that as well. So hopefully we'll get that to be a more, and I eventually wanted to get it to a place where we can actually monetize it. That would be my goal. So we want to continue our partnerships with City of Radford and the Economic Development Office of Tourism. We'll continue with the concerts this year and do whatever, the Mary Draper Ingalls Festival as well. So I'm on that committee. And just want to continue to allow opportunities for our businesses to network and grow. I'll put this out there. I'm available. I'm very good at strategic marketing and putting together business plans. So if anybody needs any assistance, all they got to do is ask. And a picture of the Radford Chamber office, so we're completed there. Did you want to open up for questions now, or do you want to go to MOU?
Well, we'll come back to the MOU in just 1 second and open up for questions. First of all, thank you to all the members of the board. Thank you, Abram, for serving as president. You all worked so hard, and we're so thankful for all that you're doing. And Dan, I just have to say, every event, every day, every business, you're everywhere. And the work you're doing is remarkable. It is obvious how much you're putting behind this and how much exposure you're giving to our businesses. It makes a huge difference. Your numbers on the social media outreach, that's amazing. That's wonderful growth. That's exactly what I think we need for our community. I think you're doing a great job with that, and we can't thank you enough for all the hard work you're doing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'll open it up to the council. I know, Jesse, you're our rep on the chamber, but open it up for you all for any questions or comments, then we can talk about the MOU and the dollars.
Well, I will second the notion that this is a working committee. This is definitely a working committee, and I have been so very impressed with the members and their dedication to the entire community, but specifically making sure our businesses are getting the support they need. And just to give an example of that, at one of the recent meetings, you know, we talked about kind of the umbrella approach and kind of drilling down. There's a new segment now that Abram brought up, and it's basically just going to the businesses and being very specific. How are we doing? So there's that constant give and take of making sure that we're meeting their needs. Thank you. Am I not projecting? Sorry. Yeah. So anyway, I've just been very impressed. The other thing that I want to point out is with COVID, there has been some adjustments that you're going to see budget-wise that, just so you know, that, you know, a lot of the fundraising that is done through events. And so there is an aggressive plan going forward for events and continued fundraising. So it is truly an honor to be a part of this board, and I have no doubt they're going to work me. So.
There you go. Seth?
I'll just echo everyone's statements. Dan, thanks for all you do. Being a small business owner myself, you know, the proactiveness and the amount of work that you do to get out the word for the small businesses makes a difference. I know it does for us and many others. So it's appreciated on a city level, on a personal level, and I look forward to working with you. So thank you.
Kelly?
Ditto. It was great to see the presentation and see the video. I had actually pulled it up from where we had talked about it on Joint Commission. Yeah, and I can't wait to see what this year holds.
Bobby?
Yes, I agree, Dan. Your numbers are impressive on as far as Facebook and all. And I know you work hard at this, and I appreciate everybody that's on your team that's helping out too, and great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we all have a responsibility in this. We can help make those numbers even better by liking and sharing and commenting on posts as they do them. Your turnout for the ribbon cuttings has been outstanding, and I appreciate partnering with some of our fellow chamber agencies around the valley. I think that's helpful. The exposure has just been tremendous. And going back and talking with some of the business owners, they've been blown away by the support they've gotten and then the business that follows. So that's been a very good thing. And this is a win for everybody. So let's talk MOU for just a second. Our Memorandum of Understanding continues with some of the same joint projects and things we're working on. We do have $18,000 in our current budget for the services with this MOU. $14,000 goes directly to the chamber for the membership, and $4,000 is a pass-through that pays for some of the city's public decorations for the Festival of Lights. So we don't have to do an appropriation, we just need to consider the MOU, make a motion, and choose to accept that if we want to go down that path. Does anybody have any questions for Dan or for the city about the Memorandum of Understanding?
Oh, come on.
I just want to add, I think I know the chamber remembered, but probably a couple of the members here remember when I took a little offense to some of the planning, because I felt like we were planning outside of our community more than we were planning in the community. And what I love about the current board is they all share the vision of being cooperative and working with our neighboring chambers, but also making sure that we're keeping a close eye on what our businesses need too. So you should be seeing more activities closer to home, which I really appreciate. So I promised Dan
Well,
I wouldn't fuss with them because I saw it.
You'll see some of both. You'll see some of both.
Yeah,
So,
and I love the cooperative things we're doing, but I just think the majority of things that I will say on board that I really wanted to see more support locally. But we have some new venues opening up, which will give us some more opportunity to provide some of our larger events like the gala here in town.
Thank you.
So no fussing. I didn't even fuss about that.
Questions or comments about the MOU? I think we get great value for the money that we're investing in the chamber, and we just want to say thank you so much for all you do. We will entertain a motion to adopt the MOU with the Radford Chamber of Commerce.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much. Keep up the great work.
guys, have a good evening.
Thank you. You too.
Go Bobcats.
Right, go Bobcats. Our next piece of business is about the former Virginia Castings property, for many years known as the Radford Lynchburg Foundry location. This is an 80-acre site on West Main Street. It's actually a little behind West Main Street and begins not too far behind this building and runs much of the length of West End. The city's received 2 grants from the Virginia Department of Environmental Quality. When we ventured down this road, we knew we had to do a couple of things if we were going to consider being able to buy this property. We needed to update our environmental report and make sure that there was not a huge liability we would be taking on and putting in our taxpayers' way, but also to see if Department of Environmental Quality would be a partner with us on this. They have stepped up, and they have stepped up big time. These are 2 $50,000 grants used specifically to update that report performed by Haley and Aldrich on this site. And so we have 2 things to do tonight. What we need to do is consider awarding the contract for engineering to Haley and Aldrich for the environmental survey work, which is ongoing, as well as consider appropriation ordinance 1763.25 to spend the initial $50,000 funding from the DEQ. So, council members, do you all have any questions for David?
I do. When would this?
Will you turn your mic on?
If we do, if this is awarded, do we have a timeline on when the completion of this would look like?
Yes, our option agreement is through the 23rd of April, 26th of April.
And that's our option agreement to purchase the property, correct?
Correct. We expect the report, we hope to have Haley and Aldridge either virtually or here in person to give you all the reports you can hear firsthand, how the property is looking, and that's going to happen, it'll happen sometime in March, we expect, or by the first week of April.
It's a tight timeline, and we knew that going into it, and 6 months was the best we could get with our negotiation to be able to make that happen. Fortunately, the weather, knock on wood, has been on our side so far. Hopefully, it will continue to be on our side to get this all finished up and to go from there. And things cost a little bit more than we initially thought they might. So DEQ definitely stepped up and helped us with an additional grant, which I think is an important indication of their dedication to getting this site cleaned up and useful. Are there any other questions or comments? Do we have a motion to award the engineering contract to Haley and Aldrich?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Do we have a motion to adopt appropriation ordinance 1763.25 in the amount of $50,000?
So moved.
Do we have a second? A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Having heard 4 affirmative votes, we can dispense with a second reading if so desired. Do we have a motion to do so?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? We will consider this second $50,000 grant probably in the next meeting or 2 and get that all taken care of there. This is really exciting. This is a huge part of the future for the city of Radford. The industrial, when I say industrial, it's more light industrial as much as anything, but the business and commercial activity that could take place with this 80 acres is tremendous. And if nothing else, cleaning up this site is important. It is in our city. This is something that has fallen to us to take care of, so it's an important thing to move forward on. So thank you all for your support, and David, thank you, and thank you to the engineers, and thank you to DEQ for working with us on this. We simply couldn't do it without our partners. Moving on to opioid litigation. We have been involved for several years looking at dealing with the opioid crisis, just as many places in America are. We've been participating in the global lawsuit associated with the epidemic, and that includes things that are emergency response, mental health services, criminal justice, all kinds of things to address the issues. Our legal counsel has recommended participation in settlements providers that have included more than $500,000 over an 18-year period. An additional settlement has occurred with folks who actually participated in distributing the medicine. So Teva, Allergan, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, and their related entities. And we have been recommended to consider participating in this settlement, which will recover about $314,924 over a period of time. And I'm assuming that's not fully defined yet, but over that same 18-year period. Council, do you all have any questions for Mike on this? There's a lot to consider here. Basically, it's more money for us to use within our opioid abatement and addressing the opioid epidemic in Radford.
Do you anticipate the timeline being similar to the 18-year?
I think it's less clear for this particular settlement or these settlements with the retailers because there's actually 5 settlements here with each of the individuals that the mayor just identified. And each of those is on a different timeline for their portion of the total settlement, which is nationwide around $18 billion, something like that.
Just to give a little background, there was much debate among council whether we would participate or not participate. There was some discussion on how much the drug infiltration was actually ricocheting in our community still. And I'll tell you, being on the board of CPMT and DSS, one thing I did is I went line by line on the children we were providing services for, and it was probably, 80%, if not higher, of what we're seeing. And so at that point, we decided that we needed to throw our name into the litigation. So just a little background, that was just one area that I was involved in, just to see how it was still coursing through our veins, pun not intended, but it's still a problem.
Yeah, to echo Ms. Foster's point, this was a hard decision to make because we weren't sure to the extent that the city of Radford had an opioid-related problem, how much of that was an issue we needed to address, and if this was the appropriate avenue to take. We evaluated with several different potential types of litigation, different ways of filing, have moved to this point where we've already settled with a number of the manufacturers. This is settling more with the distributors at this point, and a continuation of this process. So are there any additional questions? Do we have a motion to adopt the resolution for the opioid litigation?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. All right, and we get to be a little bit patriotic right now, and I'm so appreciative of all the folks who help us with the American flags. A group of citizens has donated another $1,600 to the city of Radford to purchase new flags for Memorial Bridge. Now, this may sound familiar because we just did this several years ago, but those flags wear out pretty quickly when that wind comes whipping down the plain, so to speak, and blowing across Memorial Bridge. So there are 11 flags, and they're not programmed into the budget, so we have to approve it with an appropriation. So, council members, do we have a motion to adopt ordinance 1763.24 in the amount of $1,600?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. A motion and a second. Any discussion? Go ahead.
Oh, I can wait till the end. I just want to make sure that everybody is aware of the businesses that actually did graciously donate this money to make sure that these flags do stay beautiful and make sure that everybody is patriotic, and they did this at this time to make sure that they would be in time for Memorial Day. So I just wanted to give a shout out to the businesses that actually, and the families that did. It was Ameriprise Financial, Davis Law Group, Garrett's and Meg's Clothing, the Groatman Family, Longway Brewing, Mullins Funeral Home, P.R. Sturgill's Fine Jewelry, and Radford Drugs. So thank you, businesses and families, very much for donating that. I know council.
Thank you.
We
Yep.
definitely appreciate that. and I know the
Absolutely.
citizens do as well.
And I'll point out that Mr. Groatman, this was a passion project of his, and we also want to thank our American Legion and our VFW for donating the service flags that accompany the American flags on the bridge as well. Is there any additional discussion with the appropriation ordinance? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Having heard 4 affirmative votes, we can dispense with a second reading if so desired. Is there a motion to do so? We have a motion. Do we have a second? A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, David, what do you have for us this evening? Nothing tonight. Nothing tonight. All right, there you go. Kelly, do you have anything for us this evening?
I do. I got to go to my very first Joint Commission meeting. It was wonderful. David came and thanked everybody for having us and did a little talk before, but I just wanted to say how excited I am to be on that commission and meet with everybody. It was really enthusiastic group, and they seem to be working really hard. A couple of things that they were talking about were some technical challenges between letting RU know what's going on in our city and letting the city know what RU is going to do. So there were some definitely talking points that the chamber and Student Life had. So they're working on making sure that information is both on our avenues and their avenues to share with everybody. There was discussion of sending out packets to new students to actually go to their homes with information about Radford to let the parents know, as well as the students, what we have to offer on the other side of the bridge and in East Main Street. They were adding city events to their portal, which was really nice to let the students know what's going on. They were putting the video that we just saw, that was awesome, on their portal so they can see what we have to offer. There was discussion about having a joint RU Radford Festival that coincides with move-in, not this year, but maybe next year, because that's a big planning thing, so we talked about that. And there was some discussion that RU had actually decided to not hold any campus events on Family Weekend, which is going to be September 15th through the 17th, that they were going to encourage the families to come out into our city to spend revenue, to meet with our people, to meet at the restaurants in between events that they had. So I think we really appreciate that, and we'll definitely make sure that our restaurants are ready for all the wonderful people that are going to come and take part in and see what Radford has to offer while their kids are here. So lots of great things going on, lots of things that they talked about that I'm excited about. So I'm thankful to be on that commission, and I can't wait to share all the great things that we do. That was it.
Thank you very much.
I also wanted to say that my daughter's part of the Derek Wagner Dance Company that's right across from Radford Drug. They're in full swing of their competition, and a lot of them are in Roanoke. So if you wanted to come see our dancers compete, we were undefeated last year, all first places in all the competitions that we did. So if you want to come support our dance team, come on out. They'll be here Saturday at the Jefferson Center in Roanoke.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Jesse, what do you have for us?
I wanted to give everyone on council some information coming out of the Heritage Foundation.
You turn on
meeting.
your mic.
There you go. Thanks, David. One is a calendar of events, so you guys get a little bit of a jump start on some potential dates. Scott, the director's job description, as the executive director, we've made some changes, and some new director goals. We also have 4 new board members, which, as we're talking about boards and commissions, we all know how important it is for those volunteer folks to come on board. So we've included Jim Hurt, Pat Fluke, David Farrell, and Kay Edge. Mountain Trotters update. We have new leadership. Michelle Beal. So I've got a couple dates to share with you that that she shared with me here in a second. I attended the DSS meeting, which I will get you guys the most recent statistics on services utilized. I also had the opportunity to sit in with the mayor for the Montgomery County Leadership Group via Zoom. And that was really beneficial because I was able to hear sort of the updates from all the local communities, their goals, upcoming projects, and also their stretch goals, and to see how we can collaborate with them. That was a really great group, and thank you for inviting me for that. All right, so Chamber Board, one date I think to pencil in, May 22nd, right? Golf tournament. So you looking for sponsorships for that? Okay. Tentative summer concert series dates, May 20th, June 17th, July. Come on, ready?
Uh-huh,
All right, you can watch the video later.
okay.
That we want out of here. May 20th, June 17th, July 22nd, August 19th, September 23rd, Mary Draper Ingalls Weekend, tentative July 28th through the 30th. We have a West End weekend, which is a little bit different than what we've seen in the past, but I think it's going to be a much larger event where they can focus all of their coordinating, and that looks like May 13th. Craft and Draft, October 21st, correct? Okay. And I have August 26th, Renewing the New, which is usually at Shelter 3 Bissett Park. So just a few things to get on your calendar. We have a lot going on, and to the community, a lot of these events, we really do rely on sponsorship. So it's symbiotic. You'll get some advertising and help out in the community. And that is it for me, Mayor.
Thank you very much. And I will mention that I'm inviting each council member to join us for the Greater Montgomery Leadership Group to get a chance. So I've asked Seth to join me next month, and then I'll be asking Bobby and Kelly if you all can join us, because I think it's important that you hear what's going on around the region, and this has been something David and I have been able to participate in for a couple of years. Seth?
Well, tonight we talked about flags. So again, I want to thank Gary Harris and the VFW. All of us in school board were able to have a flag dedication at McCard. Beautiful flag. Got to tour the facility. I mean, that's a really nice elementary school, and that our young ones are getting to go to. It's really well done. It was my first time seeing it. So I was impressed. And again, thank you to Gary Harris and the VFW. They go above and beyond. Also, Kelly and I, Councilwoman Kelly Artrip and I, had an opportunity to tour the new hotel, the Highlander Hotel. It's impressive. It's a nice building with some really nice dining opportunities. I believe they told us it was a spring opening that they're.
April 1st.
Yep.
What they're saying.
Yep. Unless it's an April Fool's, that's the yeah, that's supposed to be it. But it is. It's a nice facility. I think it's going to be a really good place for us to meet and maybe do, talk about the gala and some things with the chamber and a lot of things. So it was a really nice opportunity to view that. Had our planning commission meeting. Thanks again to Melissa. Melissa does a great job for us and staff, all of them. She goes above and beyond to make sure we're informed and notified, and appreciate all you do. And we're still working on updating our zoning ordinance. We're going through that. We're looking at a few other things, but the ball's still moving. We have a really good group. A lot of smart people on that commission that are really helping us. And the last thing I'll say is, you got 10 minutes to get down there and watch Radford beat Floyd. So
There we go.
go Bobcats. Yeah.
All right, Bobby?
Well, I felt like I'm under pressure to hurry up.
That's right.
I just want to do a follow-up. Tuesday, I went to Lovely Mount, and I went to the old abandoned house and the abandoned couch and all that, and walked over the property. I probably walked maybe 2 or 3 acres, checked everything out. Court met me down there at 8:30 Wednesday, so we got together, and I had a lot of questions for him, and he had all his paperwork, everything ready for me. But anyway, at the end of the day, we got finished talking. I felt good about Lovely Mount. What a lovely name. But anyway, I felt good about it. In relation to the traffic, the whole time there, I was counting cars, whatever. It was very low traffic. I go up down that road several times a week. Also, in relation to the flooding that goes on that property, he's got a plan for that. That'll take care of that. And once again, the hairpin curve that I heard about, it's too far away from the property to really, I think, would be an issue. And the only issue I see would be parking. And I know that's to be determined. But I want to say one more thing, then I'm finishing. I think in the future, it would probably be a good idea when we have something that's pretty intense, like it was at the last meeting. I think it would be a good idea for people just, especially the property like that, just to drive out there, go out there and meet and talk. I think if we had done that in the beginning, I think then a lot of the issues we're having with people upset, feel like they're not being validated, I think that would be null and void. And other than that, go Bobcats, I'm good.
Thanks, Bobby.
Thank you.
I just have two things real quick. Saturday, we had the polar plunge for the Special Olympics. Over 300 plungers, $72,000 plus raised. That's the biggest in the New River polar plunge history. I want to say thank you to everybody who participated. Thank you to everybody who donated. When you get to talk to some of these athletes, and we had a number of them present there on Saturday, you realize this is truly the highlight in many ways of their lives and what they spend their entire year working on. So it is wonderful. We had a young man who's an athlete and his mom who traveled around the entire Commonwealth participating in each of the polar plunges, and she was the largest individual fundraiser this year for the plunge, as well as their team being one of the top 5 fundraisers. So I'm appreciative of that. Thank you to everybody who donated to me and my team. Thank you to Frank Fitzgerald for being our team captain. And just thank you to the city for so much good work making that happen. To Jenny, as well as to Emily Height for the work that they did, publicizing and organizing the event, to the police department, to the fire department, to EMS for all the work they did to make sure everybody was safe and that the event took place really well. So it's just a really terrific thing in Radford. So many good things going on. Be sure to check out the website for more big events coming up, and we'll leave it at that. But thank you all very much, and all in favor of adjourning for tonight, say go Bobcats. Go Bobcats. Good night.